Press the Start Broadcast button on the
Hey guys, good
GoToWebinar control
afternoon.
panel
Sorry about
to allow
the
all
delayed
attendees to hear
start.
you.
Trying to get
This
off the
system will
early, so
notify you once you begin your
uh,
broadcast.
it
The
reminded me
broadcast
of
is now starting. All attendees are
how
in
cold it is
listen-only mode.
actually up in Vermont. Thank God. I was going to wank and complain that it's 57 degrees down here in Fort Lauderdale, but I guess I'll keep my mouth shut. Chicago, coldest ever. Frostbite in minutes. Tamara, you in here? What is it up in Wisconsin, or the Bozeman chapter, or the Montana TGO chapter? Man, God bless you guys. All right, hey, we have a lot going on this week, a lot to cover today. I'm actually going to pull forward a lot of the primary live trade brief tomorrow, because we got full throttle this week, snowing and very cold. John, high of 17 in Philly this Thursday. Oof, go Eagles. Okay, so hey, this week we're actually going to be doing an abbreviated full throttle. I have a Mothers Against Drunk Driving meeting Wednesday night, so I'm actually not going to do the training, and we always get a little overboard. I'm going to tell you about the MAD thing maybe next week, because obviously I need your help and your donations. I've been selected to be the co-chair this year for Fort Lauderdale. Big honor. Me and a state trooper or the chairman. I'm going to brief you on that next week, because I got to focus on full throttle. But hey, do me a favor, and let me put some chat box. Put this out on your social media. Get the word out to your family and friends if they're interested. You can, or click on one of these social media buttons right here at the top. Google Plus. I thought they shut that down. Didn't they shut that down? That was an epic failure. But do me a favor and share that on your social media. Want to get and obviously the best new TGO member is a referral. I mean, we have triple layers deep, sometimes 4 people deep that have brought friends on board. Elias, down to 70 degrees in Hawaii. Oh man, make sure you get some protection, sun protection. That is, of course. Negative 25 with 30-mile winds on Wednesday, Tamara. God, but that is life-threatening. So please be careful. But yeah, like I said, full throttle this week. We're going to do a welcome aboard brief tomorrow, and kind of an abbreviated primary live trade brief for those folks. So I'm going to pull forward a lot of what we're going to do in the PLTB to today. So we're going to go a little longer than a half an hour, because we have a lot to cover. This is we're really, I told you we were going to get to a precipice here. I said once we pop through this 50-day moving average on the S&P 500 with some airspeed, that we were going to, this was the moment of judgment this week, man. We'll talk about Caterpillar and NVIDIA in a second here, but we got a Fed meeting, we got China trade talks in the U.S., and we have Facebook, Apple, Amazon, massive earnings. So not and it ain't pointing to good. Okay, so here we go. So like I said, tomorrow full throttle. I took the Wednesday night brief off there. Like I said, I have a Mothers Against Drunk Driving brief Wednesday night. So and I'm going to start hitting you guys up for the same thing that I did last year. I'm going to offer the same deal. We'll give you credit. We'll match your essentially your annual whatever your annual membership is. In your rebill. All right, here we go. We called this last week, folks. We said, hey, the IMF lowered their 2019 global growth forecast. They said, hey, man, the world's slowing down. The economies were on fuego. Now they're cooling off, and they're cooling off rapidly. Not just because of our trade war, just because of a bunch of stuff. Look at the EU. Mario Draghi in what was it, 2012, 2013? I'm going to do whatever it takes to save the euro. They printed a lot of euros out of the back of his Peugeot. And the chickens really are coming home to roost. Obviously, China is a big story. Last week, China reported their slowest GDP growth since when? I was a junior in college. 1990 was the last time we saw China growth that bad. That ain't good. And what has China been doing lately? Everything. Last week, or it was on Friday, of course, as the market's closing, China, a quasi-quantitative easing to really try and keep their market afloat. Their market, folks, is a Ponzi scheme, and so is their economy. I've briefed you on the kind of their municipal debt, right? They have so many Chicagos and Sacramentos and other bankrupt U.S. cities running around China. It is going to fall apart. It is an absolute Ponzi scheme, and this trade war hasn't been that bullish for that. All these bonds, everything I've briefed you on, guys, is coming home to roost. This is why I brief you on it. So we're ready for it and we're prepared. So we're either positioned for it, or when it happens, we pound it into the dirt with like a bearish double vertical. FXI, we'll talk about SDS in a minute here, but FXI last week, we saw double PBOC and federal government efforts in China to keep them alive. And remember, every time they do one of those, it fails. Now, can it not fail? Sure. I can be wrong. I can be, you know what? This is the time, Wiz, when they jumped in safe capitalism and it worked. It would be the first time since back here. When is that? The spring of last year. So I don't believe this. FXI is down over 1% right now. Now, meetings in DC this week. It really, really, really looks like Trump is desperate to get a deal. Period. He got his ass handed to him with the border wall. I don't care how you slice it. I get that he opened up the government to get people paid, and then in 21 days, he's just going to do an executive or emergency action, and here we go. The shit show in Washington continues. Period. It looks, I get that, and Rush Limbaugh said this. I am not a Rush Limbaugh fan at all. I just saw him, somebody quoting it. He said, Trump doesn't cave, he repositions. And that kind of makes sense. He's a negotiator, folks. And the tweet after his Rose Garden ceremony, after obviously all the liberal commentators dancing on his grave, was like, what are you people, stupid? Did you not hear me? He's like, he smoked the Democrats out for the last time. You got 21 days to come up with some border security. If you think Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer in 21 days are going to do anything about border security, you're retarded. So what happens in 21 days? He goes in front of the people again and says, hey, man, I tried. I got the government back to work. I said, negotiate in good faith. They didn't. Here comes the wall. So, it's crazy. So, but here's the bigger issue. Look what happened last week. U.S. warships again entered the Taiwan Strait. What happened? Bunch of H-6 strategic bombers and a couple recon planes flew right over them. This is getting serious, guys. This is their B-52 ski. I call it a target, but this is bad, guys. I'm going to keep reminding you of this. A month ago, an admiral said, hey, man, why don't we sink a couple of your carriers? That'll get you out of here pretty damn quick. The CNO, the Chief of Naval Operations, was over there last week for some high-level naval meetings. He's like, they were a bunch of dicks. He's like, the tone has completely changed. So if you think this is about a trade deal, you don't understand China. I've sailed through these waters, folks, on the Abraham Lincoln and the Kitty Hawk. Sailed through the Spratly Islands, sailed through the Paracel Islands. We did the defense of Taiwan exercise. We have an agreement. If China, the paper says, the agreement says, with a signature on it, if China ever tries to take back Taiwan, we will defend Taiwan. We sell them weapons. We are their cousin, their uncle, whatever you want to talk about it. Well, guess what? Mom and dad are right here. Mom and dad don't care what the uncle's going to do. So this is the issue, guys. So we might get a trade deal, and again, it's comical to me that the same country who stole just about all of our military technology. Take a look at their Joint Strike Fighter. Under Bill Clinton, they hacked into everything and stole 25 years of submarine technology. Guys, this is it. This is what we're looking at. So we'll get a rip your face off rally out of FXI, out of the market. It'll be a relief rally that the trade war is over with. They are positioning themselves, folks, for a real war. Tamara, you're exactly right. The market doesn't understand China. We do. I do. I know exactly what their ambitions are. They're telling us. This is what maddens me about whether it's Iran or China. Why don't we listen to people? We don't listen to people when they say shit. Iran, death to America, death to Israel. We get a nuke. We're going to kill as many of you as we can. Obama. Oh, come on. Really? Here's a couple $1 billion on an unmarked airplanes in the middle of the night. Just stop. Here's some cash. What are we, stupid? What did Lenin say? We will hang the last capitalist with the rope he sold us. We're going to kill the last American with the dollar that Obama gave us. So here's the deal, guys. We will trade the hell out of a trade deal, but we will keep an eye on this shit. Remember, under George Bush, we had an EP-3 collide with a Chinese fighter. The Chinese fighter pilot died because he sucked, and it's a self-cleaning oven. But the dudes had to make an emergency landing, and they didn't destroy all the secret shit. So this is it, guys. This is the bigger issue. If you look at what the admiral said, not our CNO, but their admiral said, we talk about trade war. This is about strategic dominance. The dude said it, but we're not going to listen to it. Anyway, let's move on. Man, we're getting close to the end of January, the beginning of 2019 with a bang. Get on board for the big win. Wiz, what the hell happens in February just about every year in the history of U.S. markets? Now, Wiz, yeah, you said that Amazon, retail, and everything goes up in November and December. Well, 75% of the time that was right. So I was wrong about we got a little Santa Claus rally. The XRT Amazon did rally. It was after Christmas. What I'm getting at is I could be completely wrong. Hell, man, February could be a rip your face off rally. We're going to talk about what the Fed's intentions are this week and a bunch of other stuff in a couple minutes here. So, however, this ain't normal times. Okay? Stocks start off 2019 with a bang. Subheadline, but some investors are skeptical of the global rally, citing the challenges that continue to confront financial markets. Incredibly busy week, Harry. So stocks around the world are rallying when what's happening? The IMF says there's a shit show coming. China says we're in the middle of one. And you guys know if China's saying they're in a shit show, they're dying. So as the Wall Street Journal has copied what I've been saying, I'm not an analyst, but some analysts have credited the rally to what? The Fed. Jerome Powell blinked. I don't think he did. That's the way the market interpreted it, and hopes that the U.S. and China will make progress on trade negotiations. Wow. Yet beneath the rally, signs of caution have emerged. Those signs are unsettling investors who believe the gains belie a market that remains on fragile footing. The last time many global markets rose like this was what? Last January, when world markets rallied only to implode in February. Now, we know what happened last February, folks. January, as the market had a rip-your-face-off rally, what did people do? They shorted the hell out of volatility. And old Red like me sitting on the porch said, you youngins can do that. I hope you make a lot of money shorting volatility because when the chickens come home to roost, you're all going to get killed. What do you know, Pops? And then they all got killed. So, check this out. Buyers returning to the market for discounted shares after the fire sale, but not by conviction that the global econ will find fresh momentum this year. Facebook, Amazon, Apple, we know that's all this week. This market will probably take another leg down by the second quarter. We've had this natural reaction after a large sell-off, but the economy is slowing and earnings are weakening. So let me move on to some really good intel. So obviously, here's today's headline. U.S. stocks fall as earnings woes race fears over growth. NVIDIA absolutely imploded. Caterpillar, holy crap. You haven't seen worse earnings. And worse what? Forward guidance. Caterpillar down like 8%. Slowing China, rising cost. NVIDIA, 13%. Weaker guidance? Still, solid growth, blah, 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 blah. We have, like 200 out of 600 reporting this week. Okay? More vol is in store for markets, especially given the slower growth outlook for the global economy. Here's what I'm going to say right now. You ready for this? Here comes some smart money. Stand by. The government shutdown cost how much? $11 billion, including a permanent $3 billion loss we'll never get back. Ladies and gentlemen, what's his name? Kevin Hassett, the Council of Economic Advisors, the president's, one of his economic horsemen. We potentially will see zero GDP growth for Q1. Holy crap. Barack Hussein Obama, I don't think ever had a quarter of 0% growth. What's the president going to tweet for that? But here's the meat that I wanted to get to right now. A lot of you have said, well, Wiz, if I said this is not an institutional recovery. This is a FOMO. This is mom and pop, little old lady in tennis shoes, and some institutions, but institutions like mutual funds, some ETFs, the Harvard Endowment. I mean, that need to rebalance with a clean year on their books. Guess who ain't buying? You ready? JP Morgan, the co-president of JP Morgan with his Dan Pinto. He said more market meltdowns like December's rout are coming. Investors shouldn't be surprised if markets behave as what they did in December. Markets will tend to overreact to things, and you have seen these big moves and then a correction to rationality. That sounds familiar, doesn't it? What did I say? I said, cut this and paste it over here. We're going to see this, guys. We are not going to see this back up to where we were and keep going. It is not going to happen. You don't get China, you don't get the IMF, you don't get everybody saying we're slowing down and the market ignore it. And there's some good stuff in there. So, yeah, over time, you're going to see probably more market events like we saw in December. It's likely to repeat itself a couple times this year. So, and they're going to be faster and deeper. We know this. Markets go down a hell of a lot quicker than they go up, right? The new market reality by a JP Morgan quant, you ready for this? Means that big institutional investors are doing what? Moving to cash. What did I brief you on last week? December saw and into January saw the biggest moves into cash since when did I brief? 2008. The last time we saw institutions flock to cash like this was 2008. So you think I do this for a living because, and I appreciate the red team, but some folks are like, come on, man, this is, I'm like, what? Now we have all the evidence, not just me talking to dudes on Skype, cell phone, and carrier pigeon. It's seeing it. What did Morgan Stanley have to say? So, well, let me finish up here. Some asset managers, they see these dips driven by vol as an opportunity to add risk. But overall, they're slightly underinvested. That's beneficial to markets because you want dry powder to put to work when you see the market becomes irrational. I think I did 5 coaching sessions or 6 on Friday. Reminded everybody in this type of market to be 50% in coin, in cash, sitting in dry powder. If you don't have 50% dry powder right now, you're nuts. I would be half, and the most is in AR. I think we got about 60K deployed. So I'm okay with that. I'm the pilot in command, but you need to have a significant portion of dry powder. Remember, folks, because in December, what did we see? Correlation broke down. Dollar down, gold up, oil down, airlines up. Usually stuff moves. What happened? When you see everything going up at the same time or down at the same time, get out and watch. Grab the popcorn because you're going to see major swings. What did Morgan Stanley say? This guy's awesome. Morgan Stanley, sell this January comeback, hop off now, and rest up for the next rodeo. Bulls right now are dangerous animals. And if you're riding this bull, dismount. Now, folks, I get it. If you're sitting there going, whoa, if all the smart money's doing this, I'm going to be a contrarian. guys, remember, unless they're completely all lying to us, which could be a distinct possibility, they're not, folks. If they're saying this to the public, trust me what they're saying to the private clients. So we've gotten close enough on a bull that is becoming increasingly dangerous, and we struggle to see upside hanging on to just as long as we can. The mixed signals from the earnings season, thank you. A drag on the government shutdown, yep. And limited impact from the Fed are just some of the reasons. Mike Wilson, he's on CNBC a lot. So I agree with kind of the way it's a rolling bear market, folks. And how many times have I briefed you on this? I've drawn my this thing. I've called this is a bear trap. This is a classic bear trap. Now, let me, of course, hedge everything I say with nobody knows what's over here, folks. We aren't in normal markets, man. We got Donald Trump as president. We got Nancy Pelosi as the Speaker of the House. We got a China who, even if we get a trade deal with, they're not going to live up to it. Pamela, same thing with 401ks. Unless you want it to be a 201k, I'd be half in cash right now, man. Mark, I hate saying this because it did it. I hate saying markets don't do this. It did it. What I'm saying is, whenever I say like markets don't do this, usually it ends up what? We nailed every one of these, guys. And obviously I want to be wrong. I got some good Jan 20s and 21s that need this will happen eventually, folks. Obviously markets go up, but I agree with the term rolling bear market. We're going to see something like that. Ain't going to be no straight line. The last straight line we've seen for a long time was after Donald Trump got inaugurated and did all this stuff. Good, Pamela. I'm happy to hear that. So really good stuff here. Okay. More stuff, and then we'll get tactical here. Caterpillar's profit outlook dims as China slows and costs bite. Cat said, these are Tonka toys, man. So, Leonard, I don't disagree. If Trump had been treated with the same kind of respect from both sides of the aisle as Obama was, his country would be on a much better footing. I could not stand Barack Hussein Obama. I respected the office. I respected the man for getting elected. And hey, man, that's the difference, is when one side wins, we kind of go, all right, what did we do wrong? Let's try and figure out look at Newt Gingrich and Bill Clinton. They got along. They got shit done. Today, the hate and vitriol towards this man is stunning. And you guys know my acronym, man, FIROC, the I's impeachment, man, and Iran, but they're coming after him. I mean, the whole Catholic or the kids from Covington, man, just standing there and smiling, apparently smirking is racist. They're allowed to run up to your face out in public restaurants and confront and throw Sarah Huckabee Sanders out of restaurants and shit like that. But if you stand there and smirk to an Indian who's full of shit about his Vietnam service, should be charged with stolen valor, you're the racist. So this week, folks, this is phenomenal. Okay. Overlap of tech earnings, trade talks, and Fed meeting. We'll test stocks. Guys, I have no idea what's going to happen this week. And how many times have I trained you when Wiz says, I have no idea? You sit back, you get the Jiffy Pop. That's how old I am. Remember Jiffy Pop on the aluminum or tin foil on the stove? Jiffy Pop. Grab the popcorn. I don't know. I got to be honest with you. I'm going to brief you on some Facebook dead roaches in the kitchen. You got it, Rick. Sitting on your hands is a trade. Cash is a massively good idea and position right now. And I'm going to say, hey, if you don't have your hedge on, you're nuts, or your Tredge, or whatever you want to call it. If Facebook, Amazon, Apple, the rest of the S&P 500 report blowout earnings, great. If we get it, yeah, exactly. Don't burn the Jiffy Pop. It stinks. You're right. The whole house would smell like burnt popcorn for a week. So, but Apple, ladies and gentlemen, where's my Apple story here? Apple. Oh, yeah, here it is. Apple just can't phone it in, man. March quarter forecast and service comparisons remain at risk while stock is well above trough valuations. We know what happened. I got burned in an Apple bearish double vertical, man. What happened? Tim Cook did the right thing. He came out and pre-warned, right? He pre-warned and said, man, this is ugly. What happened? The stock went down 8%. Analysts said it's over with for Apple. Then what did Tim Cook do? He went out in a softball interview in his own headquarters with freaking cowbell air horn Jim Cramer and said, oh yeah, everything I said that last week. It couldn't be better. Are you kidding me, dude? That's why you do a softball interview with Jim Cramer. What I said, I'm nuts last week. Well, now they're in trouble because unless they blow the cover off the ball, they are in trouble. Their slowdown of mobile stuff in China it's epic. So this is huge popcorn time. Let me talk about volatility real quick. Goldman Sachs the other day. You ready for this? This is on the 26th. What's today? The 28th. The 26th. So I think the report came out on Friday. Remember Friday? Yay! Another up day, Wiz. What did I preach? Guys, look at this. The VIX is unusually, when Goldman Sachs is saying, hey man, when vol's cheap, you buy it. We did that on Tuesday, or we talked about STS, but what did I say about vol, man? And this is, you want to talk about the VIX term structure and the VIX. Let me give this to you guys. Here's some booger eating, here's some bathroom reading, so to speak. It's good. I'm not going to have your eyes glaze over on it. I boil, how do you battle complexity with simplicity? How do I battle reading intel like that? I say this. When vol is cheap, you buy it. I told you here, and we've been skimming along the treetops. VIX was up when we started at 1 o'clock at about 15. The VIX was up 15% in the blink of an eye. Given some back, Dow's given a little back. It's off the lows, obviously. We're getting back from lunch and drinking a couple tin sandwiches in New York and Chicago time. So Goldman's telling its clients, hey man, this is nuts. Remember, when I say this is nuts, whatever you're doing, sit up and get back mentally. If you are not hedged or not long vol or not anything right now, do it. Or just sit on your hands and get to cash. Period. I said this in the Monday Market Outlook that just went out. If this is the all clear, great earnings this week, Wiz, on Facebook and Amazon and Apple, and we got a trade deal. Yay! I don't mind missing out on a few points of upside. Even though we got some CMEs down here, we got a nice CSX. We did some bottom feeding, guys, if this is the bottom. But I'm talking overall market mentality. I'd rather miss some upside here and wait for an all clear. This is what the smart money does, dude. The only guy who tells you he got in right there is some jerk at a cocktail party, and he didn't. So I'm okay if I missed out on this. I'm fine. Okay. Now, that's Apple volatility. This week is peak buyback blackout window, and then the avalanche. This is big. This is from JP Morgan. As JP Morgan shows in the chart below, in the week of 29 Jan, roughly 60% of all companies will be prohibited from doing what? Buying back their stock. A potential downside risk, as should a negative catalyst emerge. There's another article on Zero Hedge I was reading before I talked to my son, and I didn't finish reading it. I think it might still be near the top, but it's a great. Where's the? Oh, how about this? Russia sending mercenaries to Venezuela. Of course they did. Where is it? It's about. This. January 30 marks the peak risk for a violent S&P sell-off because we're talking about quantitative tightening and all sorts of stuff. A perfect storm is happening this week. I didn't get through this whole thing, but let me shrink that. I read that. So number of Nomura. We talked about Nomura last week, that they came out with a report that said, look out, 2,600 is up next, and look out below that. Don't fund the central bank liquidity, have to redeploy cash into risk assets on the medium term, change of footing in the Fed, PBOC. Here's what it is. Pension rebalancing with significant notional selling out of equities and into fixed income on account of very extremely month-to-date performance. So here's what happens, guys. January was so good. So the pension rebalancing, that was part of the little old lady in tennis shoes and mom and pop buying. So yeah, pensions bought. Folks, they actually have sell programs. Do you guys know this? They have sell programs that says, hey man, if we're up whatever month to date, we have to get out. So towards this week, towards the end, there's some pensions that are actually going to be selling what they bought. This also happened last January. Yes, it was a short volatility implosion, but this is, and also, and last, and perhaps most importantly, on 30 Jan, there is a significant Fed QT runoff event. Instead of plumbing liquidity into the market, they're pulling it out, which is per the chart that every trader should have taped to their screen right there. Look at that massive QT. 30 Jan negative, look at that. Woo! That is a massive hit to the market. Okay. So having said, other than that, Mrs. Lincoln, how is it? This is another good article you need to read. What am I getting at? I have no idea what the hell is going to happen this week. Amazon, Apple, Facebook, they're all different stocks, all different stories. Facebook is a complete shit show. Where's Facebook? Here's lovely Facebook. Facebook ripped off game-playing kids for years in a called friendly fraud scheme. What did employees? These are emails obtained, over in Europe in a lawsuit? One 15-year-old racked up $6,500 in charges in 2 weeks playing games on Facebook. What do the Facebook employees call these kids? Whales. Where's that term come from? Vegas? Anybody watch the casino or been treated like a whale? Whales are what? Casino heavies that they just siphon money off of. FF, an internal email. FF minor is code and email for what? It's a friendly fraud involving a minor, folks. This is Facebook. Some parents went to the Better Business Bureau to lodge complaints. Facebook didn't give this kid's parents $6,500 back. Ooh, man, how about this? Fall of Facebook has only just begun. This thing maps out all of the roaches in the kitchen of Facebook from October 17th to the, and did you guys see the report last week? 50% of Facebook profiles are, what's the F word? Fake. I told you what's going on with WhatsApp last week in India. India is like throttling WhatsApp. WhatsApp is currently being used also to spread illegal child porn. Cloaked by what? Why is WhatsApp so popular? Because of encryption. It's used to spread child porn. What else is going on in Facebook, folks? Do you know who their monitors are of speech? Does anybody know who does their speech? There's a documentary that was shot. There's no mental health support. The suicide rate is high. Where? In Silicon Valley? Where did Mark Zuckerberg say he's hiring 10,000 people to monitor hate speech? These Facebook moderators are in the Philippines. An army of subcontractors is doing what? For 10 hours a day, they're not allowed to have a break. They view as much as 25,000 images or videos per day, low paid. They're the ones that are monitoring hate speech, child porn. What do they rely on? Guidelines provided by Facebook. How? Well, they give these unorganized PowerPoint presentations and Excel sheets with bureaucratic titles. Facebook's burnt out moderators are proof that it's broken. So there ain't no, like when I get in Facebook hell, what happens to me? I kind of appeal or something like that. You know who's going to? Some dude or lady in the Philippines. Twitter. Where's my Twitter? Oh, this one's good. Anybody, Tesla slides on report the Saudis have bailed. Saudi, remember hey, I have funding secured, right? I talked to some dude in Saudi Arabia. Not only was that a lie and the dude should be in jail, I think he's a great entrepreneur. He's also a liar and a fraud. He destroyed little old lady in tennis shoes who were short Facebook. Nothing. Why wasn't Elon Musk thrown in jail? Does everybody remember the little old lady, Martha Stewart, who went to federal prison for making like 200 grand on ImClone, being told by the CEO, like, hey, we got some bad news coming out. You might want to get out. $200,000 or whatever it was, Martha Stewart goes to federal prison. This dude, nothing. He destroyed funds. A couple $1 billion, the last thing I saw. You know why he didn't go to jail? Somebody tell me. Why is Elon Musk not in jail when Martha Stewart goes to jail? Weed. Nope. He didn't go to jail because of the space program. He went to the CIA. He went to his buddies, whoever his buddy is in government, and says, hey, dude, all these CIA, NSA satellites that are sitting on our launch pads, they're not going anywhere. God bless them. Wait, Wiz, you said he should be in jail. Yeah, I love Gordon Gekko shit. I love when somebody does that. As an American, I think he should have been arrested and thrown in prison. As Gordon Gekko in my Wall Street role, I think that's freaking awesome. Good for you. Very smart guy. And so funding secured, the Saudis, look at this. Saudis jumped out the stocks. It's over, guys. I told you a year ago to get out of Tesla or to short it. We were never in it. We were always trading it. But this is bad. Final thing, and then we got to get tactical. Did anybody remember like all these BuzzFeed and Huffington Post and all these liberal writers, all these 20-somethings? Do you remember what happened when the coal industry was getting demolished? Do you know what they wrote? Does everybody remember this? What happened a couple years ago? Turning coal miners into coders. Preventing all these pieces of shit little kids said, hey, coal miners, why don't you go learn to code? They told all these Rust Belt Americans, all these coal miners getting laid off, like, hey, learn to code, assholes. What happened last week? BuzzFeed, Huffington Post, all these limousine liberal, quote, journalistic companies laid off all these 20-somethings, especially after the whole BuzzFeed bullshit lying about about Trump. For 24 hours, liberal journalists frothed at the mouth, saying the word impeachment like 300 times on MSNBC, like within 30 minutes. What happened? By the end of the day, the two reporters, quote unquote, said, well, we really haven't seen any evidence of it. They made the story up. So what is going on Twitter for the past couple of days is all these journalists said, oh my God, we've lost our job. Guess what happened? A bunch of people coming in saying, hey, learn how to code. I think that's freaking hysterical. What's Twitter doing? You have been banned for hate speech. You must remove telling these kids learn how to code. Guys, this is what's wrong with America. This is why this piece of shit tech, quote unquote, tech company is going out of business. The only reason Twitter's still in business is Donald Trump. Love him or hate him. Isn't this disgusting? All these little kids telling these dudes in coal mine when they got laid off, learn how to code. When they got laid off last week, a bunch of people turned around. I am told by a person in the know that tweeting learn to code at any recently laid off journalist will be treated as abusive behavior and as a violation of Twitter's terms and service. I lost my Twitter account with 4,000 followers because I said something about Barack Hussein Obama somebody didn't like. Disgusting. These companies suck. Nothing like alienating half your customer base. Whoever said that, I'm not even going to get into Schultz. I think Schultz is going to reelect Donald Trump personally. If he runs as an independent, what's he going to do? What's his platform? I turned Starbucks in the world's largest cesspool and needle exchange, and I can do that to America too. Vote for me. If he runs as an independent, he will siphon off a ton of Democratic votes. He will go Ross Perot or Ralph Nader on this. Tamara, there is no such thing as free speech in our country anymore. It's hate speech. I don't like what you say. It's hate speech. All right, guys. Went a little long, but I didn't. With some new folks in there tomorrow, I want to do a little welcome aboard and all that shit. So I wanted to get the meat out of the way. So having said that, you ready for Uncle Wiz for the week? I'm CB, baby. I'm going from market neutral to cautiously bearish. Unless Apple, Facebook, I think Amazon's going to be disgusting. I think they're going to blow the doors off of it, in my opinion. But I don't know. This is why I don't trade earnings, folks. I hate it. It's not about the earnings, remember. It ain't about how they did last quarter. It's about what. So Amazon, ladies and gentlemen, could blow the doors off of it. Wiz, this is the best Christmas we've ever seen since Kwanzaa. And Q1 guidance is awful because of the trade war, blah, 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 blah. And so, guys, it ain't about the earnings. It's more about the guidance. It's exactly right, Doc. It could be blowout earnings, but the guidance be weaker. And let me remind you what happened around here. JP Morgan, Target, CSX, some of the best earnings I've seen in 27 years of doing this, and what happened? These earnings, probably about the most average earnings I've seen in 27 years. Good earnings, bad earnings, mixed earnings. This hasn't been good, guys. So in a week, now remember we got the Fed this week, folks, and if the past since October 3rd history is going to serve as a guide, what's going to happen this week with the Fed? They're going to put a Band-Aid on our boo-boo and kiss us on our forehead and pat us on our bum and tell us to go play outside. That's what they've done. However, according to my deep throat, so to speak, not immediate connection to the Fed, but playing telephone with I hear that Jerome Powell or the heavies at the Fed ain't necessarily super happy that what? With that based on them. The Fed isn't supposed to be doing this, guys. So, yeah, well, Kevin, it's true. I mean, if Amazon, I think it's an Amazon market this week. If Facebook and Apple suck, I mean, they're imploding. But if Facebook and Apple are great and Amazon still gives weak guidance, they're all going down. I think it's an Amazon market, folks. We're done. People are done with Apple. I got to be honest with you. Hedge funds, guys, Apple used to be their number one position. 2 years ago, they started to willow out. A year ago, I told you to get out of it, and you're exactly right. Leonard, I couldn't agree more. Leonard's like, the Fed needs to shut up. Here's the problem, Leonard, is that this Fed chief, Jerome Powell, said what? Our communication needs to be clear. We're going to over-communicate. The problem, Leonard, is what you're talking about is they what? They're over-talking. First of all, he caused this with his talk. Then he caused this with his talk. So what do you do? Yeah, somebody just said that. The Fed's in a lose-lose. They talk too much, and yeah. So anyway, exactly. It is diarrhea of the mouth. So, all right. So last week, guys, the market was closed on Monday. I was coming back from Pittsburgh, and we did a joint session last Tuesday. So let's review some of those positions. We looked at, with that in mind, I think we're going to get some of this rally back, shocker, and looked at a new SDS trade. So what happened on Tuesday after I put this trade on? Yeah, Wiz, you couldn't be more wrong. Guys, remember when I said this, I said there's a distinct possibility during the lifetime of this trade that, the market does rally a little bit. However, let's take a look at SDS, the chart of SDS. How many of you have this on, how many of you have this on? It's the 37.5, 37 bull put spread. We got it at 17 cents. Harry, Donald Trump will not shut the government down again. Absolutely not. What is he going to do? He is going to do an emergency order, which can you smoke Democrats out of their hole even more? You ready, guys? I'm going to. Who doesn't have the STS? Let me ask it that way, and put it in there while I ask this question. Can somebody tell me what the United States Army is for? Somebody tell me why we have an army. Rob's in all cash. Greg doesn't. For defense. Do we have an army to go into Iraq, Kuwait, Syria? It's a little bit rhetorical. I'm a believer in, you want to fight people overseas, but at its very core, an army is for what? To defend your country, the borders, your homeland. That's why you have an army. Our army, since a while ago, has been what? Doing a lot of fighting in other countries. So if we're seeing it, and I saw a news story today that somebody picked up at the trying to sneak in, has like some horrific flesh-eating bacteria disease that's highly contagious. I briefed you, which the liberal media is not going to brief you on, what? I told you this 5-10 years ago, guys. I have buddies that fly for customs out of Naval Air Station North Island. They fly helos, I fly props. They're like, dude, we fly fucking prayer rugs all over the place. Do you think that terrorists, ISIS, Al-Qaeda, or whoever, are going to buy a one-way first-class ticket to the United States? Are you stupid? If you're an ISIS or an Al-Qaeda dude who looks Hispanic, what are you going to do? Don't get me started. So Harry, he's not going to shut the government down again. He's going to declare a national emergency, and here's what's going to happen. Democrats are going to sue. So again, folks, if you get into a discussion with anybody, ask them, what is the job of the army? Why do we even get rid of the army? If we're not going to defend our borders, look at France, guys, the yellow vest protest over the weekend. So, yeah, we need a roof, not a wall. All right, so, all right, guys, I got to move. Sorry about the rant, but it just makes me, if we should not get military involved in Venezuela. If I were the president, and most likely he has said this, I know he said this to cream of some young guy in North Korea. What did he say? Yes, we had 3 carrier battle groups off of North Korea last October, but what did he say? What has he most likely told Maduro? Do we need an army in Venezuela? We need about 2 or 3 global hawks and say, hey man, we're going to kill you. These global hawks can be airborne for what, 24, 48 hours? I'm going to put 3 of them over your country. You're not going to be able to hide anywhere. I'm going to blow you up if you don't surrender. You don't need an army, folks. Anyway, God, the rant was needed. Oh, man, I'm trying. Patrick, the job of the President of the United States is to protect us. It ain't to be some global. Look at what happened to Tinkerbell from France. He's gallivanting around the globe preaching global warming and this new world order, and he got tapped on his shoulder like, hey, sir, you might want to check out your phone and see what's going on in Paris. Paris is literally burning. And he flew home, and look at what's happening. One of the founders of the Yellow Vest protest is crippled for the rest of his life. I think a cop broke his neck. France is in trouble, guys. There's globalism. All right, we got to move. If you don't have, so we looked last week at SDS, putting on this. I come for the rants. Good. This is kind of looking like volatility, man. Look at this. 50-day moving average, pop. 50-day moving average, little through it. Mass, pop. 50-day moving, oh. Can this go lower? Yeah, man. I can be wrong. Facebook, Apple, Amazon, all 3, one of them. Trade deal this week, or a Fed that comes out and says, my God, we've been even more foolish than we thought, and we're not going to do anything ever again. We head up. However, I'm going to tell you, if you don't have a hedge on, Ryan, I don't think you can finish this session without another rant. Well, one of the rants going to be the Fed. Guys, I want markets to go up. I want markets to go up what? On their own, man. If you were a subscriber of the Options News Network when I was in Chicago and I was doing my shows, I said in 2008, I'm like, let this burn, man. This is what this system is designed for. Then we got too big to fail. Bank of America got ordered by the government to buy Merrill Lynch. AIG got bailed out. Your tax money, $180 billion, rescued AIG. I know most of you in this room right now are small business owners. What if you going out of business? Goldman Sachs? Christ almighty. I'm furious about the financial crisis. What I'm getting at, guys, is the Fed this week, that could go either way. They saw that they destroyed capitalism here because we all suck and we're soft. And then they rescued capitalism here with their words. I'm telling you, one of my buddies, friend of a friend, somebody at the Fed says they ain't digging this, man. They really didn't mean to put a Powell put. Powell didn't like that. The reason Trump picked Powell is because he ain't supposed to be like a Bernanke or a Janet Yellen. So, does he correct this week and say, hey, man, we're still going to be data dependent and the data are pretty strong? We had wage growth. For all the bad I've thrown at you with a shotgun right now, there's a lot of good out there, guys. So, Robert, let me answer that. Robert says, how many individual hedges should we have on? Let me tell you something, folks. You have got to come up with what you... And this is why I don't, if I were to give individual investment advice, it would have to be individual. I'd have to talk to you let's go out to lunch and figure out. I'm going to tell you, if some of you have smaller portfolios that you're trading, you might not be wanting to put one of these on. I told you, I fired one of my coaching customers and he's no longer a TGO. He did not listen. If you have a smaller account, you might not need to be doing hedges and treads, man. But if you have a medium to 25, 50, up to 6 digits there portfolio, you need to have some protection on. Now, there's various ways to protect. What if you think that you know what, Wiz, you're right. I think we are going to give some of this rally back. I would maybe just buy some SDS calls, right? Put them in your pocket. Yeah, Scurvy, that's what I'm saying right now. If you have a smaller account, maybe just be a straight call buyer of some 0.8 delta calls. Maybe just buy these. Let me clear this ticket. There ain't no 0.8s, so the closest would be, I'd go out to February 8th. I'd cover this week and into next. Remember, if we're going to go down this week, it's going to be violent and there's going to be follow through. If we break the 50-day move, we went through it with some airspeed and we held up here. If we go down through it with some airspeed, it'll be 2,600 in a blink of an eye. And then we're going to go through that and see if we have any footing. If we don't, it's even lower. So if you have a smaller account, you do what? Maybe just buy some calls, man. These, 37, 36s. Right here, buy them. Look at this. For buying 10 of the February 8, 37 calls, it's $1,900. If I had like I said, up to a 25 grand portfolio, I don't mind spending $1,900. If what happens doesn't happen, so let's say this doesn't happen, guys. Remember, being long SDS calls means what? I think the S&P 500 is going to do that. If it don't do that, all of the other positions in your smaller portfolio should be doing what? CME, CSX, Amazon, MGM, Raytheon, name it. The other ones you have should go up. Tamara, this is what I did a week and a half ago. Good for you. Awesome. Harry, I found out I use half my SOP for my hedges. It covers money. Yeah, exactly, Harry. So instead of risking 5% on anyone, blah, blah, maybe on a hedge, you do 2.5%. Maybe you do about $2,000. So guys, if you're in a smaller account and you want a little protection, I do this right here. I would buy these calls. Greg, I'm sitting on the Feb 838 calls. Love it. Let me grab a screenshot of this and say that. So now I'm going to talk about maybe a medium portfolio. And again, there's 177 people in here, so I'm not giving you individual investment advice. I'm standing on the street corner down here in Fort Lauderdale, and it's cold, baby. It's 57. That's like, I mean, well, I'm not joking. It is cold for down here because we got the orange crops and stuff like that. It can be devastating. So here's a trading places trade based on how unusually seasonally cold. Buy orange futures, right? Clarence Beeks, 128 metric. All right, so if I were in a smaller, and this is 10 contracts, guys. Maybe you do 5. Well, Wiz, I'm only risking $1,000 in that case. Exactly. But remember, folks, if you're just doing a straight call buy here, this is for a hedge. If I'm doing this, if I'm just buying some straight SDS calls, I want them to lose money. I want to lose that $1,000. Why? That's like me saying I didn't have to use my ejection seat. But if this thing does roll over, what happens? These STS calls can print money. If the S&P 500 implodes, like I said, if it hits 2,600 right here with airspeed, it's going down. You're going to make some nice coin on those calls. What can you do with those nice coin? Put them back into some of your longs, CME, CSX, Amazon, whatever. So take the profits from the hedges and put them back into some longs. What if it doesn't happen? Then you're, quote, out $1,995, but you made money because Wiz was wrong. The market did rally here. Does that make sense, guys? I usually do this in a week or two when we do our full throttle training, but that does everybody get that? And I forget the lady who was in here last week was complaining about the SDS calls that lost money. I'm like, man, you didn't. I guess I failed in my SDS speech. So there's your SDS speech. Scurvy, I know it's clear to you, but I just needed to. It's sitting on my yellow sticky. It's big in Sharpie. I put SDS brief. Now, Wiz, I got a little bit more of a portfolio there. Then do the damn trade we looked at last week, man. The 37 bull put spread, 150 contracts. And here's the metrics, man. Risking $49.50 to make $2,600, maybe. This one is a little bit more aggressive. Let me draw it on the screen. Exactly, Ryan. Does she make money on her homeowner's insurance? So if I'm a straight call buyer, guys, you ready for this? Here comes the R brief. The last trade I looked at, just buying some calls, you ready for this? I'm really bearish. 1R. Straight call buy. Write this down, guys. I on my list of 90 things to do, I want to add some stuff to the OPCL and the SOP. That's on me. I got to do it. But 1R would be just buying those straight calls. I'm really bearish. You ready for this? On your screen is a bull put spread. I'm really, really bearish. So let me start from the beginning, actually. Really bearish equals just buying SDS calls. But it also, somehow I'm going to have to write this on the screen, 1R equals, in the Navy, we always meant when something's a little or small, I'm going to put parentheses around it. Like on the LSO platform on the back of this ship, if he was a little fast or a little flat or a little high, you put parentheses around it. So 1R equals a little portfolio. And I don't mean little disparagingly. Shit, man, I started with $250 as an ensign. That was all the money I had in the world. So I get it. But here's what I'm saying. Maybe just buy some calls, the $995 in calls, if you have a smallish portfolio. You ready for this? 2Rs equals this bull put spread. And I'm going to say med. I haven't taken my meds today, obviously. So med. Mike, SDS, an efficient way to reduce, decouple portfolio market risk while keeping individual position risk. Dude, that's some smart shit. Mike, I'm going to steal that, man. I'll give you credit, though. I'll pay you a royalty on that. Very well said. I'm going to write that down. Very well said. Everybody read what Mike wrote there. Harry, say that again, please. It's on the screen. Everybody read that. He's kind of saying strategically versus tactically. I love that. Mike SDS. Well done, Mike. Let me leave that on the screen for a second. Harry, can't type that fast. I'll put a screenshot of this in the playback or something, but it's on the screen. It's a great point. Mike wrote in essentially one long sentence what I've been trying to say for like 10 years, so very well. Mike, you've been teaching me for years. Thanks. The student has become the teacher. All right, so here we go. So if you have a really, really bearish position, we're looking at a bull put spread on SDS, and I'm going to say a medium portfolio. What's that, Uncle Wiz? I'd say 25 to 50 grand. That's enough coin where you can put on a spread like this. Okay? Arthur, I'll do it at the end because I'm on a roll here. Now, for the smart people in the audience, you know what's coming. Wiz, you scared the shit out of me in this strategic brief. I am really, really, really bearish. I think Nomura, Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, Morgan Stanley are right. And we're heading lower, and SDS is going to pop. If I got 3 reallys, ladies and gentlemen, I do a bullish double vertical. What would have happened the last time SDS got this low, ladies and gentlemen, if you did the tactic I'm going to talk about? Bullish double vertical. Bam! Bullish double vertical. Holy shit. Bullish double vertical? That's a question mark. Now, let me do this. Yeah, Steve, I appreciate that. I need to do a better job at giving these type of briefs like this. If you're really, 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 it is a bullish, it's a BDV, a bullish double vertical, and I would say this is for 100K plus-ish. I don't know. These are ranges, guys, because I'm just talking about because the lady last week who was really upset with losing on some SDS. I'm like, man, if you have a smaller portfolio, you shouldn't be doing these. But again, guys, I steer away from this type of brief because this isn't. I want to stay in my lane here, right? So, all right. So this is, again, I will say this again. If I am really, really, really bearish on the market, I want to put what is called a bullish double vertical on. With a bullish double vertical, I want to see a violent move in the direction of my strategic mindset. That means, in this case, bullish double vertical, I want SDS to go through the roof this week. I don't think in the history of I do these, but I don't do these for you guys because this, if you think this week is going to be a shit show and we do head through the 50 with some airspeed, you might look. Harry, I still do them with less than 100K. That's why I'm spitballing, guys. Martin, very helpful. Thanks. Lets me have an idea of my lane. Awesome. Learning has occurred. And I felt guilty last week when this lady, I sat down over the weekend and I got my note cards here and I hope I'm hitting all the high notes here. Really? And it can be bullish or bearish, guys. Same type of discussion here. Really bullish, really bearish. With a small portfolio, straight call buys. Really, really, with a medium portfolio, you're looking at a spread. And if you're 3 Rs, really, really bullish or bearish, you're looking at a double vertical, baby. And that's exactly probably what it's going to look like in the SOP. Amy, well, yeah, I mean, you and I were supposed to be talking this afternoon. You and I could talk about it offline, but let me, yeah, Harry, the light bulbs are brightening up. I'm not going to place this in a portfolio for our masses here, but yeah, yes, I will cover what that would look like for the week. I'd probably look at so here's what a bullish double vertical looks like, folks. 38, and I didn't expect to go this long. I apologize. So it would be, I would look at a bull put spread, the 38, 37 and a half. That is a credit spread. We know what a bull put spread is, right? And a couple weeks, guys, we'll be doing our full throttle training where it'll be an hour-long session on a double vertical. I'm just going to cover this very quickly. So this is a credit spread. If I think, so, obviously a bull put spread, Wiz, you think SDS is going up this week. Yeah. Well, why don't you, I don't remember you covering this like this since I've been here. Thank you. Awesome, Tamara. Good. All right. So let's add some calls and do a bull call spread. Let's buy let's go 39 and a half. I'm sorry, we would buy those and then sell the 40s. This is probably wow, and it's still a credit. Woo. This one, folks, let me do this real quick. And again, I'm not putting this in weekly options or PLTB. I'm bringing this up for demonstration purposes. Let me take a look at this real quick. Wow. Well, I might be changing David, I think you and I are doing coaching, lady. Probably about 100. Do 115 real quick. Check this out, ladies and gentlemen. That's pretty damn close. So first of all, if you're not familiar, look at this double vertical. Gary, I'll cover that in training. I'm way over. I'll cover the how I picked all sorts of stuff. But this is, first of all, here's what a double vertical is. Look at the damn picture. It's two vertical spreads. Bull put, bull call on top of each other with the same strategic mindset. Bullish on SDS, bearish on the market. But look at these metrics. Risk in 52 to potentially make $6,300 this week. Ladies and gentlemen, look down here. Wait, holy shit, Wiz. You're telling me this is a credit spread? I'm getting paid. The market's paying me $575 to have insurance in case the market implodes this week. Yep. Well, those probabilities are ridiculously low. Folks, with a double vertical, the max profit, max loss, they are showing you the best and worst case scenario. Obviously, the best and worst case scenario are out on the ends of the spectrum. Take a look at the damn possibility for a break even. 66% probability that at least this trade breaks even. You got it, Harry. It looks good just for a demonstration spread. Let me say that again, guys. Now it's a 67% probability that you make some sort of profit or at least break even. Does this make sense? So let me say this again and tie this all together, ladies and gentlemen. If you got, and again, I'm not saying you as in you directly. I'm saying this to the entire room. If you got maybe 75 to $1, I would look at this trade because I personally am really, really bearish on the market this week. I can be wrong, guys, but again, for the last time, I'm going to say if this trade goes out worthless and I lose 5K in a 100 grand portfolio, what happened with my CSX, CME, Amazon, Raytheon, blah, blah? They all went up. Or should have. You know what I'm saying. It's a general marketism. Does that make sense, guys? Martin, I want to change lanes. Well, guys, this is kind of the tiered approach, right? We fly propeller planes, then you fly medium jets, then you fly Hornets, man. We're going to get you there. Okay? Yeah. Yes, I will. I will add. I will put this in the replay email, guys. I'm not texting it out because people who aren't listening to this demonstration right now might think, "Oh shit, I'm putting that trade on," and they have a $6,000 account. That it's very frustrating to me that people. Well, you know what? It's not their fault. It's my fault as a skipper. If they ain't hearing correctly, it's the messaging. I'll not everybody, but I'll take the hit here. So if my good wingman Tamara says, "Man, I haven't heard it explained like this since I've been here," then I'm at fault. SDS DV 128 metric. I'm pretty sure I said this all individually at different times. I just didn't put it all together. Dano, man, no shit. The A10 it's a flying cannon. The gun in the A10 is the size of a Volkswagen. I love it. Kevin, agree with Tamara. Great job. Thanks, Kevin. I appreciate it. Okay. Oh, thanks, Mike. Okay. Yeah, I'll put the trade back on. But guys, this is how the pros do it. This is how a pro with a call sign of Wiz does stuff like this. Thanks, Rob. So this is if you're swinging a little bit more coin, this is a trade I would do this week. Some of my doc, I mean, you know, and again, obviously they're a lot of my coaching clients. Obviously, they're pilot and commander of their own portfolios, but this is, I don't know, man. This is really interesting right here. And when you got all those heavies more or less saying, "Hey, man, get off the bull and go to cash," they ain't buying right here. Now let me hedge. I'm an options trader. I'm going to hedge. I could be wrong, man. Facebook. The reason you haven't seen me in months is because we've done phenomenal. Our earnings are phenomenal, and I fixed all the problems at Facebook. And our forward guidance couldn't be brighter. I don't freaking think that's... Yeah, Tamara, I've explained the 3 R's before, but not since last week when... and she's not in here right now, so hopefully I didn't piss her off too much, but she was pretty hard over on some of the SDS trades, and I'm like, well, shit, I need to explain this better. If you have a small portfolio, you shouldn't be doing these things, man. What are you hedging? First of all, folks, listen to me. Every trade we do at Top Gun Options is a hedge. Let me say that again slowly. Every trade we do is a hedge. There is not one trade at Top Gun Options I've ever done in the history of TGO that is what? Naked. A spread is hedged, a long call diagonal, synthetic stock, a bull put spread, a double vertical. All of these are hedged. So kind of to Mike's succinct and brilliant quote was what? This is kind of an overall portfolio hedge. Well, you know, obviously there's individual risks, but those are hedged. So here's the deal. If you don't have a big portfolio, you shouldn't be doing these. My fault for not giving this brief better in the past. I will fix it. We'll cover this again in a couple weeks in full throttle. But it looks like a lot of freaking light bulbs are going off. Got a smaller portfolio? Buy some calls, man, and put them in a little filing cabinet. I mean, if buying those 5 SDS calls for $995 is going to be the world to you, you gotta. I wouldn't be trading right now. I'd be popcorning it. If you got a little bit of coin, and again, I'm just spitballing here. Maybe, you know, I'll start reaching out to people and in coaching sessions or something and get a better metric. But if I got 25 to 50 I'm swinging around, maybe I'm doing the bull put spreads. I got more than that, 50 to plus, maybe I'm throwing on the double vertical, okay? All right. So, again, I'm sorry. Let me answer some questions. You are at your best today. Thanks, Bob. Robert, I appreciate it. Carl, don't try and get filled on the double vertical as a double vertical. Again, this isn't double vertical training. I got an hour-long training on that, and you should be watching a training video on double vertical before you do it. Put it in as 2 separate spreads. Put it in as a bull put. Put it in as a bull call. Okay? And it doesn't matter if there's not a lot of volume or open interest. We make a market, guys. You're a TGO. Look at this shit. Now there is a lot. Well, and again, guys, I'm not going to manage this one. That was more for demonstration purposes. JM, which strike for the SDS calls? I forget what they were. The 30. 37s. Hello. Let me keep answering questions here. And then the bull put spread 37 and a half, 37. Scurvy, Wiz, I screwed myself on the SDS calls a few weeks ago. This is a big girls club. People need to understand that. Scurvy, thanks, man. You're preaching to choir, unfortunately. So, okay. Buy more Facebook 100 puts. Kevin, I couldn't agree more. I didn't bring up the straight put buy in Facebook, but after I briefed you on what's going on with Facebook right now, I'd absolutely be doing that. Rick, it absolutely is not a bad idea to be doing a dollar wide. It's a different, wider the spread, the wider the bigger the risk, the smaller. It's also, depending on your broker, you might be doing 60 contracts versus 115. You do 115 contracts, you're paying out the yin yang for commissions. Some of you, again, I hate getting into commission discussions, but no big deal, Rick. It's you just have to understand, and reading the manuals about a double vertical, it'll talk about 50 cents versus a dollar wide. Rob, I think you nailed it. Like many new people, she may have just put on every trade or hedge you do, thinking they will get rich quick without understanding what you need to do. Rob, I think behind Mike, you get the second smartest thing said today. Robert, please get the replay posted. I need to listen to it again. Robert, as soon as I click close the webinar, it starts rendering. It takes about 20 to 30 minutes for it to render. I will jump through my rear end. And Matthew, thank you. You need to be paper trading, man. Even if, listen to me, if you have a small account, put this on in a damn paper trading account, man, so you're learning. Don't not do this. Throw this double vertical on and train, man. I keep telling my coaching customers, if they have a little bit of drawdown, I'm like, what do you see, what do good athletes do on the sideline? Tom Brady sits down, he debriefs with the Microsoft Surface Pad, then he gets up and starts throwing the football. What do linemen do? They usually hop on a bike to keep their muscles warm, that keep that muscle memory going, right? So please, paper trade this stuff, man, and figure it out. Would you buy Facebook here? There you go, Arthur. Yes, I would, Arthur. Facebook puts. Thank you, Carl. I appreciate it. Tamara, from Tamara. Do not do double verticals without knowing what you're doing and why you're doing it. Exactly. Do not blindly do this trade. I'm telling you, and look at this. It went from being at what, 8 cents? It's already made five cents. It's already up maybe $500 here. So that's a good looking trade. But Tamara, exactly, guys. Please do not, as Matthew or whoever just said, blindly come in here and start throwing on all the trades that I do blindly, man. You have to know the reason. But the biggest thing Tamara just said is why. I gave you, more or less, I mumbled through 10 minutes of a commit criteria in this trade with what's going on this week. Here's the best thing about options trading, folks, listen to me. If you listen to my strategic and operational brief and said, Wiz, you're smoking crack. It can't be. It's not 5 o'clock yet. Listen to me. If you think I'm completely wrong, and not only is the S&P not going down this week, it's going to rally, switch this trade, take the other side of the trade and do what? A bearish double vertical. Wiz, you're wrong, man. The S&P 500 is going through the roof this week. You're wrong. Their earnings are going to be phenomenal. This thing is imploding. The best thing about options trading, guys, is you can do the exact opposite of what I look at, man. And then report back, and we'll see, and we'll debrief who worked. Bob, Wiz, do the hedge or stay in cash for the week? Man, I can't answer that, Bob. It depends on if you're in one of those small, medium, or larger accounts. But, Bob, you can't go wrong with what? Cash. If you're on the fence, Bob, I wouldn't do anything, right? But if you're on the fence and you got a small portfolio, buy some calls. You're on the fence, you got a medium portfolio, do the bull put spread. If you're on the fence and you got some coin, do the bullish double vertical. Does that make sense? So don't. I have to say this again, guys. I love everybody see the movie War Games, right? 1980s movies. Love that movie. When the computer says at the end, what a strange game. Sometimes the only winning move is not to play, right? Don't play with nuclear war. Sometimes the only winning trade is not to trade. So if you got a big question mark over your head for this week, and you're not in the mood to be putting out any money as a hedge or a trudge, Bob, just don't. I think it's a great idea to don't. We could get a trade. We could see Trump in the Rose Garden on Friday, guys, announcing a trade deal. I just, you never know. Does that make sense? So, but yeah, guys, I strong. Hey, Bob, even if you don't do anything that I covered this week, do one of them or do this double vertical in a paper trading account and watch it. So the next time you're ready to get airborne with some real capital, when the market's a little, hey, Amazon's back, Wiz. It had great earnings and great forward guidance. I'm going to get back in Amazon. We might even be doing some Amazon double verticals if it's alive. Right? Exactly, Patrick. Patrick says you never have to trade. Sometimes that's the best trade, guys. All right. Man, that's essentially the primary live trade brief tomorrow, guys. Since we're doing full throttle tomorrow, and kicking off, I'm going to do kind of the marketing at the beginning, guys. So if you don't want to listen to boring me, maybe show up at 1:30 tomorrow. Okay. So let me just remind you, full throttle starts tomorrow with kind of a welcome aboard brief. I'm going to cover 90% of what I covered today, but I'm obviously based on what's going on in the market tomorrow, I might cover some new stuff. Real quick, before I head out here, I didn't cover this. The FXI trade for the week for me is a hold. I think we have the 41. Hang on, 41. The 41.42 right now. I'm hanging in this one, man. And hold on, see me real quick. Sweet. Let me get a hell yeah if you're printing money in the CME group. Love it. Kevin, my STS calls are already up 10% or 10 cents. Sweet. MGM's looking good. JW, I have profit in long FXI. Would you close? Yeah. So Kevin, you and me, I think, or you and me, I got into FXI early back here in case there's a trade deal. And I'm actually making money in my Jan 21 FXI too. I'm getting out of it. So guys, for the bear call spread for the week, I'm going to hang, but I'd take the long. I'm getting out of my FXI that I got into. Actually, it was back here in November. I'm sorry. I got into it like around here. What is that? It's up 9%. I'm making money on. I was early. But that's going to be our new Captain Kirk trade is this FXI, before a trade deal. So, but CME Group, we have a bear call spread from that expired on Friday. That was a max profit right there. I love CME Group. Literally CME Group is doing what? Everybody should be looking at max profit on CME. I think we're up to like, what is it, $6,200 on Tavo. Sweet. Yeah. I think the max Iron Condor profit's like $6,200 on great Iron Condor, Frank. I'm very, very happy with CME. And that's the gift that's going to keep on giving. When's their earnings again? The 14th. So yeah. Okay. All right. So that covers FXI, covered our SDS trudge from last week, and also kind of a new mindset or something I got to add to the SOP. CME's looking good. CSX isn't in this portfolio, but kind of doing that wallow like we talked about. But let me get going because a lot of you are asking for the replay already. Let me get the replay out to you as quick as I can. And do me a favor, guys. Like I said, get this out to your family and friends. Tell them about Full Throttle. Put it on your social media, and I would appreciate it. Always put the ladder down, guys. If you're doing good in here and having fun and thinking your friends or family could capitalize off of it, throw it on your social media up at the top there, okay? All right, guys, like I said, tomorrow's Full Throttle. You can come by if you want, but come by late so you're not bored because I'm going to be talking to a lot of new potential members, and I got, your standard marketing slides. I got to go with my marketing folks here later this afternoon, okay? So, thanks, Harry. I appreciate it. I passed it on to two friends already interested. Awesome. Yep. Yeah, and no shit. Yeah, and the CME Iron Condor pays for a couple of years of your Full Throttle. It's already up 2 annual Full Throttle Max subscriptions. So hopefully CME's going to keep looking good there. All right, guys, have a great rest of your day. Happy hunting. Make sure you hedge. Really had a great time today, and I'll tighten up that brief for going forward. I need to add it to the SOP, and I'll add it to our full throttle training. So I appreciate it. All right, guys, have never bored. I bet. Thanks, man. Matthew passed it on to a friend to make it tomorrow. Thank you, Matthew. I appreciate it. All right, guys, have a great session, great rest of your day, and I'll see you maybe tomorrow if you're interested, but definitely on Wednesday for Accelerated Retirement.